Welcome to Stateside F1. I'm Joe Leonardo.
Yeah.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. That man making the sound of, I'm going to say, Nico Hulkenberg revving his engine, saying, hey, if anybody needs me, I'm here. Y'all got a driver here. That is Andrew Berger.
How are you guys? How is everyone? Good to be back.
And we are talking summer break. Today, we have a very special guest for us. We're super excited. We have Will Earle from FP1.
Good to be here.
So glad to have you. Amazing YouTube videos. Also, congrats on 50,000 followers. Big moves.
Thank you. It's been a crazy year, but 50K. The last few weeks have just been crazy. So hey, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Great.
Do you feel like that influences you in any way and how you make content and what you say? The beautiful thing about YouTube is there's such a great engagement between people that watch and the creator. So it almost feels like everyone's in on the journey. That's what I feel like YouTube has that specifically.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I guess sort of, I try not to. There have been times, especially in the last few weeks, where I've scripted something, looked at one of the jokes and thought, Twitter won't like that. Let's just change the punchline a little bit and see where we go. But yeah, for the most part, I'm trying to stay as sort of genuinely me as I can. If that means getting a bit of trouble every now and then that's what that means. So hey, we've not been cancelled just yet. We came close once, but we're still in the clear for now anyway.
Maybe we can have that happen here for you.
Hey, well, we'll see.
It's the Jeremy Clarkson in us.
Yeah, very true. Let's talk summer break. It's been a wild one. I was kind of mentioning this a little bit before we started recording, but I feel like what makes this summer break a little more crazy and exciting than previous summer breaks is social media. And there's always been social media in Formula One, obviously, but this year with Drive to Survive and everything, and the presence that all the drivers have on Instagram, on TikToks are now being made, all that stuff, Twitter, the season feels sillier than its silliest ever, if that makes sense.
I feel like I've been on vacation with George Russell and Charles Leclerc during the summer break, and that's cool. It also reminds me how much more money they have than me. But not even that, just I feel like these drivers, everyone kind of just needs a break from Formula One just to get the hype back for the next race.
100%. I assume you own more shirts than George Russell. He's always shirtless.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is.
He does have a matching swimsuit with his girlfriend. And I did show my girlfriend that photo, which it was my mistake because now that is on the list of things to buy for Christmas now.
My wife and I went to a Bare Naked Ladies concert earlier this year, and she wanted to get a specific shirt. It was from their tour. And I just bought the same shirt for myself. And she's like, no, now I don't want it anymore. I'm like, wait, what difference does it make that we both own the same shirt? She's like, it makes all the difference in the world. I'm never going to wear this now. I'm like, okay, now I own 2 shirts. Awesome.
Oh gosh, such issues, but not as big as Danny Ric and McLaren's issues that he's having right now. Will he be in Formula One next year?
That is the question, isn't it? Now, I've said this publicly before, but to set the record straight, I am the biggest Daniel Ricciardo simp that there is on the planet. So
go team!
If
you're amongst friends here.
If at any point I sound biased or I sound generally pissed at McLaren, it's because I am. So tough, basically. But yeah,
Ralf Schumacher thinks he should go.
Well, I don't care what Ralf Schumacher thinks. No
one does. No one cares.
Yeah, Mick doesn't even care.
my honest thought on it, though, and as much as I hate to say it, is he's feeling like this season's Hulkenberg, in that driver that has lost his seat at his current team, should probably land somewhere else, but at the end of the day, he just won't. It seems like Alpine is the only logical choice. I don't believe he'll go to Haas. I can't see him doing that, but you never know. Stranger things. I mean, this year, stranger things have happened. But for me, going back to Alpine is the only realistic option that I see. And given how he left that team, and given that they have so many more options, will they bother going back? And I kind of feel like if they would, this decision would have been made by now. So yeah, that hurts for me. I just pray he doesn't end up in Formula E. That's all I ask, Daniel.
My thoughts on Formula E are widely known.
Okay.
I honestly think IndyCar would be great for him. I know it would be leaving the Formula world, but like he would be great here in the States. He would be loved.
Totally with you. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, Ganassi have a seat going potentially. If not, McLaren still have might still have a seat. Then again, that will probably go to Rosenquist, won't it? But that Ganassi drive, provided that McLaren get Palou, that's a really good seat in IndyCar. I mean, it's the same car that won the championship last year.
Yeah.
With Danny Ric, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, look at what Grosjean's managed to do in Indy. And Grosjean's a pretty good Formula One driver, but he was never going to win a championship. He had flashes of race winning potential, but he could never really do much with it. Daniel Ricciardo, I rate way higher than Grosjean. Put him in a good car in Indy, he'll dominate it. And I mean, I've been looking for an excuse to watch the Indy 500 live. I'll take that if Danny Ric's going. What the hell?
Oh,
Grosjean was in the last 500, right?
Grosjean was in the Indy 500 this year. He didn't do it last year because he didn't do ovals, did he? But
no.
Yeah. I think he crashed out or something. I might be wrong, but I don't think he finished.
The Music City Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. I mean, I saw your video also, Will, but oh my God, that was it. My cousin lives down in Nashville, so it was a derby, like a crash derby. I mean, also Nashville is just a ridiculous city to live in, but just ridiculous, terrible race. Danny Ric actually might be good at the Music City. I feel like his best track is Baku and Monaco.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Monaco.
Everybody's no matter wherever you qualify in Monaco is kind of where you're going to end up.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a qualifying track.
He's good at kind of keeping it out of the walls. I think I say that he crashed at Monaco this year in FP2, but that was the team's fault from what I'm aware of. But yeah, I mean, look, I would be all down to see Danny Ric in IndyCar, and I think he'd be really successful there. So it's kind of why. Well, initially I was really, really gutted about him losing that. I mean, we don't even know if he has lost the McLaren seat, but we think he probably has.
Yeah.
I was gutted initially, but I thought, you know what? Even if he doesn't land in Formula One, I think Indy could be a really good landing spot for him, and one where he could honestly dominate. I mean, as I said, like all the F1 drivers that have currently crossed over have been fairly good. I mean, the last good driver that I think crossed over, maybe Takuma Sato, or maybe no, Montoya went the other way. Did Montoya go the other way? I can't remember.
I think he was in Indy first. Now he's in sports cars. I know he was never in Formula E. That was Massa.
Yeah, Massa went to Formula E and then floundered. But no, Ricciardo and IndyCar I'd be all for.
That'd be a great marketing tool for Formula One if you think about it. I mean, when Alonso was qualifying for Indy and almost won, except for when his car crapped out in like the last quarter of the race, even less. The biggest news when Alonso was there was Alonso. So Formula One was smart. Well, they are smart, but would they be to put Danny Ric into Indy, but with some kind of level of incentive, either monetary or, make some backmarker team keep him as a reserve driver and potentially bring him back the next season or in 2 seasons. But how old is Danny Ric? Like 33?
Something like that. Yeah, 33 sounds right.
I have a quick question. How hard is the transition from Formula One to Indy, or from Indy to Formula One? Because I know that you're losing power steering going to IndyCar. There's differences in weight, all that stuff. That you have the shield in front of you. I don't know if that changes your aero, and what's like the biggest thing to overcome when going from Formula One to IndyCar?
That's a good question. I guess the ones that you mentioned are quite high up there. It's obviously, I think, harder to go from IndyCar to Formula One than it is to go from Formula One to IndyCar. At the end of the day, the cars in Indy are slower. It gives you, more of you can react to things quicker. And for a driver that's suited to higher speed, faster paced Formula One cars, I think it's why we've seen the likes of, Ericsson and Grosjean do really, really well and settle in relatively quickly, it must be said. Just because, Formula One, I don't think this is too controversial. Formula One, the cars are maybe harder to drive, maybe just because they're quicker. I mean, maybe the power steering.
That's got to be killer on the arms. Oh,
the power steering, yeah, perhaps. But it seems like the ovals that they were more scared of. Obviously, Grosjean didn't want to do them in the first year. There was another driver, and I'm trying to remember who it was. Might have been Perez quite recently, said he was scared of ovals and would never do them.
I did hear someone from the Formula community say that.
I forget exactly who it was. It might have been Perez. It might have been somebody else. But yeah, there is this general fear of ovals just due to the speeds that they reach on those circuits. But I think especially for street courses, given the direction that Formula One is headed now, they're like, oh, we've got all these lovely, beautiful historic tracks. Nah, they may provide great racing, but we want Baku or we want Vegas, because money. And Formula One, I guess, in that sense, is sort of all motorsports really are transitioning more away from these traditional purpose-built tracks to these, ones in the middle of the city where they can just bring in way more revenue, be that from sponsors, be that from circuit organizers, be that from fans that are just closer to the track in general because it's outside their window. So I think now more than ever is quite an easy time to switch between the series because they're racing on fairly similar tracks as well.
We just had Corey Willis on was it last episode or a couple episodes ago? And we were talking about how much we hated Vegas. Oh, we hate the idea of Vegas. And then we're both like, we're going to go. It's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be just pure glitz and glamour and lights and everything.
I mean, I was at the Miami Grand Prix and that was a blast. I mean, Miami is just such a flashy, like the whole vibe of Miami is just 305 till I die. That's the area code in Miami. But yeah, getting to the track because the track was around the Miami Dolphins football stadium.
It was the parking lot.
Yeah, that's exactly what. And
they converted the parking lot into the track, which is so weird. Because then where do people park to go to the track?
There's like lots like across the street, but there were people protesting the race and to get from one side of the track to the other, because I was sitting more like closer to the start finish line. And then on the opposite end of the track is where they're having Post Malone and all the famous musicians perform and where they had the the fake marina.
Yeah.
But to get there, you had to walk. It wasn't, I'm exaggerating by saying like a mile or two, but you had to like walk through, like up through the corkscrew in the stadium, across like the top level 300 section.
Whoa, wait, across the bleachers, across the seats and everything?
Like across like the outside of the bleachers.
Yeah, right underneath like where the concessions and stuff are, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then walk down the other corkscrew. And like on these corkscrews, you saw all these planks or pallets with like Haas and all the race teams' gear just like stored away. I mean, basically just walking around the Miami Grand Prix was a terrible experience, but the race itself was, of course, wonderful and incredible. But yeah, these street circuits, yeah, they're just money hungry. Because I mean, it's not Doralton Capital; they bought Williams, but
Liberty Media,
whoever purchased for them, yeah, they need to make the money back. I mean, look what Disney did to Star Wars; they ruined it to make the money back.
Yeah, you're sadly not wrong. I mean, the Miami circuit, I think, can be made a hell of a lot better if they got rid of that stupid little chicane. And just before I think it's actually, no, it's the start of the final sector, I think. That horrible little tight chicane. It's so Formula E and I hate it. And I if you made that a fast flowing section, it would be great. You could then follow much more easily. I think they maybe over anticipated the effect that the 2022 regs would have. And as a result, we get this tiny, tight little corner, which ruins any racing opportunity into the final corner. Because you can, if you make that simply just a straight piece of track, or even like a castle section there where it gets quite tight, you've got to like sort of what's the saying? Thread the needle. That's it. You have to thread the needle between the walls. And then you get onto a nice open straight, DRS open, and get an overtake into the final corner.
Do you think maybe they're doing that to make more seating? When it's a chicane, you have seating around there, so people buy tickets to go sit there. If it's a straightaway,
it's not like how they have it in France, though. So France, that's exactly what they're doing when you've got the chicane halfway down the back straight. But here, you're using the same piece of track mass, so I don't think you'd have to move any. I don't know if there are grandstands there anyway, because it's all under a bridge, isn't it? So I'm not too sure what the viewing points. Andrew, you might know more because you're obviously there, but. I don't think you'd have to change the grandstands much. They'd just get maybe a quicker view of the cars. It won't be quite as quick, but I think you could probably get away with keeping the ticket prices the same and just have that a straight piece of open road. It wouldn't be difficult even to sort of do if I'm honest. But that's just my take on Miami. The rest of the track, yeah, it's not bad. It's just very 21st century Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, I will say probably the best viewing points were the bridges. Like people would be like getting yelled at by standing on the steps of the bridges because you could just see the cars like fly by. And to me, that's like the most exciting thing. I mean, I know like, the very technical parts of like the chicanes and the curves and seeing the passing on the curves. But I mean, to me, it like doesn't get more real until you see, Max Verstappen just like flying by at like 180 miles per hour and then seeing him brake for the turning, like, for a different sector. Because, it's cool. I don't find it as entertaining seeing a car go through a chicane, midway through the race where everyone's kind of like expanded their leads and they're not really bunched up anymore. So to me, it's just looking at a car going 40 miles per hour through this little chicane where I'm like, okay, I could do that in like my Honda CRV, like not difficult. Like what is Pierre Gasly doing that I can't do? Like I want to see.
I could do that in my Kia Soul.
Exactly. Like I mean, I heard this hilarious joke one time. It's about the Olympics. It was about the swimming Olympics. Like I really only know Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky. They said they should have like an average swimmer jump in the pool with the Olympians,
like for scale.
Yeah, just to show like how talented and strong these Olympians are. Versus like your average like swimmer who just.
They should also say his stats too. Like here we have, like if I do it, they're like, here we have Joe Leonardo. He exercises like maybe once a week.
I mean, this is why I always think they should put someone like me on Love Island every year, just to kind of add, to spice things up every now and then. It'd be fun. If anyone from ITV is watching,
I love it.
Drop me an email. fp1.sponsorship@gmail.com. There you go. All right.
I love that. I would watch it. Yeah, I mean,
I would totally watch it. There was a reality show back, I think MTV did it, where they had, I forget the name of it, but they told one guy he was a plant, and you're here to kind of mess everything up. But they told everyone that, so everyone on the show thought they were the only person that was a plant. And it was just pure chaos. The show didn't last, but it was hilarious.
I guess you couldn't really do one season of it then because you do it again. It was like, well, I mean, I know what happens here, so, but that sounds great.
Wow.
Hi, everybody. Joe Leonardo here.
And this is Andrew Berger.
Along with being the hosts of Stateside F1, Andrew and I are audio engineers with thousands of hours of podcast experience. Between the both of us, we've worked with a wide variety of companies, from Google to Discovery, as editors, mixers, sound designers, and even social media managers. If it's a companion podcast for a TV show, or just a hobby among friends, we can help you with your podcast. Feel free to reach out to us at statesidef1@gmail.com.
I want to talk 1 second about like ticket price. I know we're not really talking about like a silly season and summer break, but most of my brother's into racing, Matthew, who we had on the show a couple weeks ago. And Matthew and I drove out to Watkins Glen out in New York, and we got tickets to, I don't know, the tickets were like $70 each to go like 3 days of privateer, like GT3, GT4, IMSA racing, and another company that promotes racing. I can't remember the name, but it promotes privateer racing. But what I want to say is access around the track was just crazy. I mean, there was like a bunch of people there. My brother the weekend before was there, and they had like essentially the whole Le Mans grid at that track. It was like the 6 hours of the Glen. And my brother, we were allowed to like drive our car all around the track, and we had like 12 different vantage points all 3 days. So we just saw different corners. We saw the boot section.
You guys were talking to like the crew and stuff too, right?
Yeah, we like got into the pits and like they yelled that we were wearing shorts. You're supposed to wear pants in the pit lane. So, but we got to see driver changes. The next day we came in pants and obviously just sat in the pits during like the midpoint of the race, and we just watched all these cars just fly in, change of tires, change of drivers. And like Formula One is such a spectacle, but I may have said I had more fun at the Watkins Glen race because I could just walk up to these drivers and be like, oh, okay, so like, how are you, like, how are the tires feeling? Like, what's going on? I mean, I wouldn't go up to them during the racing session, but when everyone was in the garage, like working on the cars, it was more just about the purity of racing than the spectacle of,
Well, if you match the access that you had with, let's say you had that access in Miami, you would be like, the Formula One was much more exciting. If you're able to hang out with like Tom Cruise and Toto Wolff.
I mean, we saw that happen at the first lap in Silverstone. Those guys walked out onto the track and had a great time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just because of the level you're at. When you're at that race at Watkins Glen, you're able to have that access. But Formula One is so removed from reality that you have to be of that lifestyle and of that, class to be able to access all that stuff. Like sometimes you're watching and then you'll have like, there's a shot of Matthew McConaughey just standing with like, Steiner. He's just hanging out with Steiner, or Keanu Reeves is there and he was with Williams, I think.
He would be with Williams.
That is their version of you at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
You were the Keanu Reeves of Watkins Glen.
I am honored to be compared to such a wonderful man.
I completely get where you're coming from though, and it's why in the UK, I don't know whether you've heard of the Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yeah. I want to go.
Honestly, I've been every year bar 2 since 2016, and it is phenomenal. It's okay, not quite to the level of Watkins Glen, but so the last time I went this year, I went in my old 2003 BMW shirt. And I'm sat looking at all these classic Williams cars, and one of them comes up to me and says, "Do you want a photo with it?" And I was just like, "Yeah." It's like, "Come on." So they just take me behind the barriers, and I'm sat next to I think it was Damon Hill's '96 car.
Oh wow!
And little things like that. And we went over to the Mercedes sort of pit, and you could just sit and chat to all the engineers. You then see when the drivers come out, like there was George this year was crazy. Like all of F1 Twitter just descends on this little like pit, and he's trying to sign a few people's, and then you've then got people that are full on like frothing at the mouth just to get a sight of the guy, and you're like, bit weird, but okay, fine. And that's kind of why you see, okay, this is why you don't get that level of access at a Grand Prix. It would just be a mosh pit everywhere. The cars couldn't. Have you ever seen the footage of, I think it's Nigel Mansell, when everyone stormed the circuit at the end of the 92 British Grand Prix? It would be a bit like that, but for the entire race. I mean, that would be an extra level of challenge. Like you get. Have you ever seen that Top Gear episode where they have to drive around the supermarket and everything they hit, they lose points? Like for every spectator you kill, you end up having you lose points in the drivers' championship. I mean, that's that. That'd be great fun. We
should have a New York City circuit, but we don't tell any of the pedestrians.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, that's the best punishment for jaywalking, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
They'll never do that again. But there you go. Formula One. There's my idea for you. Do with it what you want. The
'96 Damon Hill car, is that where Schumacher knocked him off the track and he got penalized? Was that year?
That was '94. Or do you mean, was that when he took the championship? 94 was when he punted them off at Adelaide. 96 was when Hill actually won the championship.
I remember that. Yeah, that was. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sure Hill's still in therapy about that. I would be.
He at least got one championship, I guess. Like he got that redemption. If Hill never won a championship, and he deserves to, and I'm not just saying that because he follows me, but he deserved to win the championship.
And they begged Michael Schumacher to apologize, and he like wouldn't.
Yeah, he never did. It's Michael Schumacher. He's never going to do that. But it's a crazy few years. I think it's an underrated decade, the 90s. There were some fantastic championship
You had Ayrton
battles.
Senna, you had Schumacher, you had everything.
Yeah,
You had, what's his
Hakkinen
name?
versus Schumacher as well.
Yes, yep.
Oh my
yep.
God, Hakkinen. Yeah, that's like fire and ice right there.
Yeah.
Like, imagine F1 Twitter back in those days. God.
But they had a good relationship.
They did, I think. I think that's because Hakkinen wasn't a particularly like he wouldn't aggravate people. Whereas if you look at say Schumacher and Senna we didn't get enough of, sadly, but like those two were more that I think could have become something a lot more heated because they were both very similar in the sense that they would just go at each other's throats. Senna and Prost is a better example because we actually saw that happen. I
just learned this recently. I didn't know this. Prost was a pallbearer at Senna's funeral. He carried the casket. Yeah. So even how heated they were on the track, you're still human beings.
Yeah.
And also there's death involved. It changes the relationship. I just brought down the energy.
Thanks, Joe.
We've gone from running over people at Silverstone to
We've gone from gleefully running over pedestrians in New York City to being like, hey, we're all human. We all love each other, right? Before we leave here, I want to touch on one last thing, and that's Max Verstappen. Is this it? Is he done? Is he world champion? I thought this would be a slower topic, but yes, I think that's the answer right there.
I have put all the money in my betting account on Max Verstappen to win the championship. I'm going to win £3 from that when that comes true.
When you go P10 to first and you do a full 360 in that race,
I mean,
win.
Part of the reason I put all my money on it, and I'm kind of hoping that my bad luck means that we will get more of an exciting fight, because usually if I bet on something, it will never come true. So that's kind of why I've done it. But hey, I mean, we can't fault Verstappen. Like Ferrari, okay, yeah, they've thrown it away, but Verstappen and Red Bull have done a fantastic job, and that's coming from a guy who is not one of Verstappen's biggest supporters at the end of the day. So I mean, fair play to Max, fair play to Red Bull. You know, they've done everything right. They've not, besides maybe a few issues with reliability at the start of the year, they've not put much of a foot wrong.
No, Max deserves this one. He really worked hard, and even with everything you said, even with Ferrari's mistakes and everything, this is Max's to win, and he did it. Yeah,
I think that's important as well after Abu Dhabi last year, and all those people saying, oh, well, he hasn't earned it. It should be Hamilton's championship. This one, it's definitely going to be Max's, no matter what anyone can say. Even Team LH will struggle to find a reason against it. But I mean, fair play to them. I mean, they've come through this regulation change, and when Mercedes have faltered and fallen back, Red Bull, despite being in that same title battle, pulled through and have been a very good team and the better team this year in a lot of ways.
I know Leclerc has a multi-year deal. I'm not sure about Sainz, but do you think they would potentially consider jumping ship to another team, especially with the potential open seat at Alpine?
I wouldn't swap Ferrari for Alpine. I mean, it's that would be ridiculous for me. Ferrari have got to get it right at some point. I feel like we've been saying that for nearly a decade now, but
Mick Schumacher says he's ready for Ferrari.
He's not.
No.
I would love to see Mick in a Ferrari, but I can't. He needs to show me more.
100%. Like, dude, you're not like, I understand, like, you know, the history you have in your loins is huge, but at the same time, you gotta like put up, and just saying, hey, I'm ready for the next step because my dad was here. It's like, bro, I'm not saying that's the reason why he said it, but like, dude,
I mean, he is ticking off a few of the boxes. He's crashed in Monaco. He's
exactly.
You know, he's pulled out a few things here and there, but
nothing but net with that comment.
Yeah, he's got to win 2 world championships with Haas before he can move to Ferrari.
Big thank you to our guest today, Will Earle. Check him out, FP1 on YouTube. They are celebrating 50,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Thank you for listening to Stateside F1. Please like, comment, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your sweet, sweet podcast content. Follow us on Instagram at Stateside F1 and TikTok at Stateside F1 Podcast. And feel free to DM us, send us memes, comments, questions, suggestions, etc. We will respond and follow you back. See y'all next week.
Thank you, Will.
Pleasure, guys.